Morning guys, today's training is all about working your buyers. Facebook, what's up? Actually, we might be adding this to YouTube now, so everybody online, welcome. So one of the reasons that we're doing a buyer training is because I've heard many people say, buyers are liars. I hear everyone say we're in a seller market, I don't want to work with buyers. Right now, I'm looking to hire a buyer's agent because I have too many buyers to work. And one of the other pieces that I hear all the time from new agents is, oh, well, I hear you get a list to last. And if you don't have listings, how do you last, right? So anybody have these questions? Have you heard any of these before?
I've heard all of these.
This is all common, right? So one of the first things I like to teach is, especially for new agents, is work buyers, right? If you want fast income, you want to make money quickly, buyers are going to be your fastest solution to doing that. The reason, like I said, they're everywhere. The cheapest thing for me to lead gen on. I can find a ton of buyers just by going out and putting a little link that says, look at this new home, prices around the $300, $250 mark, and instantly I know people are going to be interested because I'm in the range where all the buyers can afford, right? I'm in a place where it's still affordable. Guys, can you just turn your cell phones volumes off so we can do the recording the correct way? So this training is going to continue something that we have on Agent Alchemist. If you go to agentalchemist.com, you can find the training online there. And here, what we're going to do is expand a little bit on it. We're recording it so we can add more of this to the Agent Alchemist training. We're always updating and growing. So when you're working with buyers, the first thing you want to do is let them know how the process works, right? And the process for a buyer is not that. Olivia, what's up, girl?
Hi.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
The process with buyers is identifying, are they a buyer or are they a liar, right? The key to identifying a buyer is two things. There's two sources that'll motivate people for purchasing a property. One is, and you guys can probably take this guess, I'm assuming that all this math is the purchasing process. Do they have, and since I don't have an eraser, can we get an eraser? I'll write these up in a second. Well, one is money. Right. One of the first things that everybody says is, I don't know how to buy because I don't have the money to buy. Right? You heard buyers say that?
Definitely.
Potential buyers. You've heard renters, right? So one of the great resources for finding buyers is just go into rental listings. Be a renting agent, go and put your posts out, you see a whole bunch of people come through, and then you ask them the question, why you're renting instead of buying.
Right.
And if they say, oh, because I can't afford it, well, maybe you can. Have you been pre-approved? It opens the door.
Right.
It's the first thing most people are going to say. They assume they can't afford owning a house, when in reality, I pay less for owning a house than I do if I was renting. I'd lose money if I was renting, right? Because the home pays for myself, right? Because we buy
Especially
three families.
with multifamilies.
Exactly. Very good. So money is typically not an issue.
The pre-approval process is very scary for all
That
these.
is the key to getting buyers hooked and getting buyers going, is the pre-approval process, how to word that.
Right.
The other piece is desire. Do they actually want to own a house? Do they actually want to own real estate? That, people will hide behind, I don't have money, because they truly don't want to own real estate.
The responsibility of managing that property, especially with a multifamily with other people living there and liabilities. It's very scary.
What are some of the fears people have given you about why they don't want to own real estate? They don't want to flush toilet. They don't want to have to unclog toilets.
Well, somebody who's more educated would say they don't want the tenants to,
Damage things.
Yes. Okay. So they.
Yeah, this is a nice way to say it.
Yeah, damage things, and so thereby losing thousands upon thousands at one time, and not being able to recoup if you don't have the means.
Correct.
But those who are less aware of, like, if they're just bringing it up in their mind and they never really thought about it,
Right.
and you bring it up to them that they would have to be aware more, a lot of the people would say, I can barely manage my own life. I don't want to have to manage other people and their problems.
Yes.
I don't want to have to provide such and such for so and so.
This is the correct wording, right? The correct wording is, it comes out, and that's what all this is about. When working buyers, nothing changes about the process. When I'm telling you, like, work buyers faster, Leslie, this is Olivia, this is Leslie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Leslie's a new team member on our team. So Ron just wiped the whiteboard. Give Ron a round of applause. Thank you, Ron. Not that Ron operates from that space. He doesn't need praise. Unlike a normal agent. So now I've got more space here, right? So money, some of the issues that come up are credit, the pre-approval process. And you already said people are scared of the process. What are other issues that could cause money? They don't have the down payment, right?
Savings.
Down payment. Yep, some savings.
There are some people out there that have the money, but they don't have the credit. So like they have the job history and stuff like that, but they don't have a way to.
Job history is another one.
Yeah, job history. So I mean, people could have the money all day long sitting aside, but nobody will trust them if they don't have credit and history.
Yes. And give her a round of applause. She answered a lot of questions. Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate it. Get guys clap up.
Thank you.
I felt the claps in their head.
Engaging is important, right? So answering the questions and figuring out, getting your own mind thinking is bringing up the important facts for all of this. Plus, I don't remember all the details. But like I told Ron, I will go and respond to every one of these if they're up here on the board. Right. So that's how I operate. So when we talk to buyers, it's not about whether they're going to...
Sorry, I was just getting situated.
Yes.
I would say the people who will be in the home, like if there's like in-laws or kids, you know, depending on like the...
This is for purchasing, so this...
Yes, so like the buyers, like what their family looks like.
Yep.
When their needs, their specific needs.
Exactly.
So
like
this is...
Desire.
Alright, I'll go back. Go back because it came in late, which you won't do again.
Yes,
Because to record these things, we want to make sure that everybody keeps them going. So when we're dealing with a buyer, there's only two signs we look for to identify if this is a serious buyer or not. One is, do they have the money? Two, do they have the desire? And actually not in that order. I would say desire comes first because with the right amount of desire, every investor knows you can find the money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we talk about money because it's usually the first one that comes up. But it's not truly the true motivator. The true motivator is, are they motivated enough to go and find the money, to go and find the property, right? Who here owns real estate currently? And who here wants to own real estate? There you go. Same online. If you want to own real estate, it's not because you don't have the money. We're going to review that right now. These little pieces are the first things that come up when you talk to somebody, right? You guys have all talked to buyers before. First thing they say, when you talk to a renter or a normal friend, you ask them, why don't you own real estate? The first thing they say is, I don't have the money. I can't afford it. I'm not rich like you, right? First thing they say. So, I don't have the money, I'm not rich like you, that means you don't have a down payment. Or you think you need 20% down, or you gotta buy in cash. I can't tell you how many very intelligent people I run into in this city and other cities where they say, oh, you know, I'm not gonna buy a house, like buy it in cash. Who taught you that? Right? My first...
They're watching too much HGTV.
Yeah. It's like only very dumb people buy things in cash, right? We're living in the debt economy, right? The idea is if I buy it in cash, my value of my cash goes down. If I buy it with debt and the debt value goes down, I'm winning, right? It means I owe less. I owe percentages less. Inflation is right now, do you know what it is? It's between 5 and 6%. I used to always average as 3%, but we're in a very high inflation period right now. You can see just by the prices of real estate, which are just going up, right? Which, by the way, we know we're at the height. And so when we're working with our buyers, we have to be aware of that and have a different conversation with them, just ethically, just morally. But for me, I always run into this first. I don't have the cash, you know, I can't go and buy something with full cash. Your first response as an agent has to be, what are you, dumb? Like, just get crazy with them. Just go, we call it the snap, right? And I do this with Ron every so often, not with Ron, but he sees me do it with clients. They're just like, that's dumb. Like, what are you doing? It's NLP, it's neuro-linguistic programming. Stop them from their current bad thought and pull them out of it so that they don't pollute the rest of the conversation. I want to remove that you don't need cash. I want to remove the cash requirement. So usually that's the first place that we start. Once we remove it, we say, no, that's silly. Nobody buys in cash. Millionaires don't buy in cash, right?
Now they're listening.
Yes. You
Now
gotta
they're
get their attention.
sparked.
Yes.
Because I'm sparked.
Right.
So I know my buyer would be.
You're very empathetic. So you're able to put yourself in the position of your clients. Which is a
Absolutely.
gift.
Absolutely.
Have you taken the disc yet?
No, you gave me the rundown. They had
Okay.
like the little
Yep.
slideshow.
And what are you? Somewhere between the ID?
Yeah.
EI?
Yep.
Okay, makes sense. You can tell by the way she's dressed, right? Very proper, prim, much like yourself. You're more of an S. Love it. My SC.
I'm the anomaly. I'm the one that isn't
Never know
supposed to
what because she's gonna get into.
succeed.
You are the back end of sales, which is what you do well. You do the research, you get a person out there, you're the armory that gets the cannon out there. So you do wonderful in this business. There is a place for everybody, and you just have to know how to operate. So the first thing was eliminate, nope, don't need cash. And then we eliminate, nope, don't need 20%. And for me as an investor, I say, look, the only time I've ever bought with 20% or with cash is when it was other people's money. I've bought 20% with my own cash because it came from a flip that I bought with 3% down. That I bought with very little money. That's how I started, was no money down. Like the first 5 deals I did was less than 3-5%, right? Every deal in the beginning was under 5%. And a few of them were no money down or 3% deals. Matt, welcome, brother.
I'm here.
I see you.
Yes.
It's all right, we're
a
gonna
little
work on
late,
that.
but I'm here. I will get
Sweet,
away
brother.
with this.
All
I
right,
think this is the best seat for you, brother.
it is. All right, so
I know Olivia, Leslie.
Hi, yes,
to meet
nice
you.
to meet you in person.
Matt's tardy, so he gets a little FaceTime. What's
Yes.
up, brother?
Hi, everybody. I'm late.
We know who's the favorite.
Yeah, we know.
I'm not
He
late
is.
when
He
showing
is.
house.
So Matt takes care of running the team for me. So he does all of he's the rah-rah guy, he's the coach, he's gonna make sure he sits down with you and make sure that you're running everything. Just, it's accountability, right? It keeps you positive, so you have to have somebody who's, even though he's late, it's like, look, I was running something, I was doing something, it's okay, I'm here, run it. That energy is powerful.
Life happens.
Yes.
It's true.
So we're talking about the money motivator. You know, the 2 factors that a buyer requires is 1, money, and desire, which we'll go into a little bit. All right, when we get there. So they're not a buyer if they don't buy, right? Write this down. The definition of a buyer is one who buys.
Oh, I'm just gonna.
One who buys. That is what a buyer is. That is the definition. In order to buy, you must have money, you must have desire. Those are the only 2 requirements. Everything in between, you can build a web of knowledge, information, people, contacts, ideas, skill sets, processes, but if you don't have the desire and the money, you're at a point where it's very difficult. So, Matt, we've dealt with a lot of people who have started the process and haven't finished yet. Doesn't mean they're not going to buy. There's just a process between the starting point, the finding the desire, to sometimes finding the money, sometimes finding the property. But with desire and money, we know we can get to the property. So the 20% down, is cash ever an issue? Do people actually buy houses in cash?
Not in my experience.
Out of your experience?
Could happen.
What is the typical down payment they're putting?
Usually 3.5.
Usually
Sometimes
3.5. Usually 3.5, sometimes 5. And in a lot of cases, VA, 0. In situations where it's FHA, you can now go 0, no money down. And they're perfectly safe mortgages. It makes perfect sense because the banks are realizing this is a safe time to lend. Now, as an investor, we know we're at the peak. It doesn't really matter. As long as your client can make their monthly payment and buying a multifamily, you know they're going to be fine. You know they're going to cash flow, it's going to be okay. If they're buying a no money down and they're buying a single family, it's not much different than buying a no money down and a 3% down. And we know that most people are buying a 3%. So the question for you as a buyer's agent is how quickly can you pull these questions out of their minds? Not avoid them, pull them out. You want to be polarizing. You want to get to the point. Get to the, oh, cash is an issue? What is it? Ask these questions. What? What is stopping you? Why haven't you? Do you want to? And if they say, oh, well, I want to, but it's the money, well, now you can start going through the objections. Right? Buyers have objections too. We talk about it all the time in listings, talk all the time with sellers, seller objections. There is a list of buyer objections that very few coaches, very few mentors are talking about. But that's where the money is, especially on new agents. Even me in the beginning, I used to be embarrassed because I was like, oh man, my first day transactions are all buyers. If I was focusing on sellers, though, I would have had no transactions because I didn't have the skill set, the knowledge of the network yet. The buyers was so easy. I could literally walk out my door and there was a buyer. And here's the deal, I could walk out my door and somebody who wasn't a buyer became a buyer because I turned them into one. Does that make sense? There are people who, Matt, when we met, were you thinking multifamily when we had the first conversation?
Not so much, and after 5 minutes with Calder, I was.
Right. Turned not just into a buyer, but into an investor, right? Because that's what we can do by having conversations, by filling in the void in people's minds, getting to where they want to be. There's a lot of clutter up here. So that's why objections are so important to have understood and memorized. I'm not going to teach you specific words. You'll notice I'll teach you emotions. I'll teach you a concept of what to say and like where to go, but use your own words, right? Because a lot of people will start writing down the specific words of what I'm saying. That's not the point. Because you will never be able to remember it. The only way you'll be able to remember it is what am I supposed to act like, the confidence level or the energy I'm supposed to have, and then what am I supposed to get across, the bullet points, right? Take notes and bullet
Don't
points.
forget to snap.
Yes. So notice when I do a state change, I snap. It's just it's a tool that we create as habits, right? So 20% down, we agree. This is no longer an issue. We replace it with 3% down. And we start talking about what 3% looks like. If you can't get your client on board with it, you say, oh, 3% on $250,000 house is under $10,000, right? You just put that in their head so now they can see the dollar amount. I've heard plenty of times people say, oh, I still don't have 3%. And then they'll ask, how much is 3%? As if they can't do the math in their own head, right? So our C personalities will say, well, can't you do the math in your own head, right? They can't, they won't. You must do it for them. Be the guy who goes, or the gal who goes out there and says, 3% on $100,000 is $3,500. Start there. And then ask, how much were you looking to spend on a house? The first number they give you is normally going to be higher than they're actually looking for. And you just tell them that. Polarize, be quick, be very sharp to getting to the point where if they're a D, if they're an I, if they're a slower talker, still help their mind get to that point, but you don't have to be as quick. So we've crossed this one out, right? It's safe to say, move them to 3.5%. If you can get them there, they're gonna be okay. Next one is, they don't know about job history, by the way. They have no clue that they need to be on the W-2, they have to have been working for 2 years. This is something we identify later on. This is more on our end, more on the lender side. Down payment's usually the next point, or credit, right? You have for both. Credit is the first thing I think of. So we've eliminated the down payment, or we've eliminated this need for cash or 20%, and now we're moving on to credit. Oh, my credit's bad, I messed up. Well, the credit may not be as bad as you think. Did you know that you only need a 580 to get a house? And a lot of times that right there ends the conversation. Know the numbers. If you don't know what a requirement is for credit, sit down with a lender. It's the first thing you should do when we take on new agents who've never been in the business. I tell them, go sit with a lender, learn the lending requirements, find out what the most popular loans are, and get some questions. Just have them answer and question the whole time. And then when you finish with that and you're out with your buyers and you're getting more questions, now you have a lender you can go back to. It can be quick text because you've gotten that first foundational conversation going. So you should know the basics of the loan products. You don't have to know necessarily all the details, but the more you know, the more valuable you're going to be out in the field. Right? You'll be able to handle these responses much faster. So 580 credit currently, and credit can be improved. And sometimes it's not as expensive or costly or time consuming as people think. And the first step to getting your credit improved is, hey, just have a conversation with my lender, they'll run your credit score, and then they can tell you what you need to be. Anybody have a lender right now that they know they can do this with? Yeah. So how many times are you sending your bad credit clients to your lender?
Quite often.
I know you do it,
Yes.
but that is an opportunity, right? If they have bad credit, perfect. You need to talk to my lender now to get your credit together so that you can buy a house down the road. They say, oh, I can't buy it right now, I can't get it together. That's fine. But if you'd like to be able to buy it in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, you're going to want to talk to somebody now. And remind them, you have no idea how credit works, do you? You have no idea what you need for a house. Maybe you could get your credit together to buy a cell phone, but to buy a house is probably a little different. So unless you want to go the next 2 years, think you did everything right, call somebody and find out you paid the wrong things off and did the wrong things because you didn't know what to do, and now you're going to start, and it's going to take you another 3 months, 6 months, a year. which would you rather have knowledge so you can move in the right direction, or just guess and fluff and then maybe have to take
A
longer?
lot of people wouldn't run their credit.
No,
A lot of
course.
people wouldn't. A lot of
And
people
that's-
I know wouldn't.
that's reality, and this is what I tell them. Look, because I'm concerned about running my credit every so often, right? You get another inquiry, your credit score is down a little bit. I just tell them, even though the credit score went down, if I'm going to use the credit, that's the whole point of the score,
Yeah.
right? If I'm using it, it's fine. And this isn't the worst spot ever. So if they're using the credit, it's perfectly fine. That's the whole point of credit, especially if you're buying the biggest investment of your life. Well, what is real estate?
The biggest investment of your life.
Yeah. So it's okay to have credit in line for that. And it lasts 6 months. The pull will last 6 months, so it's not going to affect you if you're getting multiple pulls within a short period of time. So understanding little details on credit is going to help you help them. And that's the key. You want to be as helpful to your clients as possible and remove as many of these in the first conversation as you possibly can. Here's the other sentence. This sentence is informed with every single one of these objections. You're right. I can understand why that makes sense. I completely get it. Oh yeah, I hear you. Did you know? Right? These commonalities. This is what's the book? How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's not Napoleon Hill. It's the other guy, Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie. He says it. He says, allow them to keep face. Always allow them to keep face. Always agree with them. Whatever they say, yes, they're right. Like in their head, they're right, and now we make the adjustment. You're right in that situation. Also, did you know about this? Or, but this has changed. And the word but eliminates anything beforehand. Anytime you use the word but after a sentence, the first sentence is negated, doesn't exist. So be careful where you use it, but you'll be fine whether you use it the right way, wrong way, as long as you're getting to the point, right? Sometimes this takes longer when you're using the wrong words. The other side to this is the better you get with words, the more successful you're going to be. Sales, what is our one weapon? What are we using?
Your words.
That's it. That's it. I could be on the phone. What is the one tool I have? Just my words. And your ability to understand what somebody else is going through. But the only way to do that is through listening to their words and creating your own set to handle what they're saying, to lead them and guide them. So words are important. For credit, get them in front of a lender. We're already starting the pre-approval process, right? But we start with, instead of getting you to the pre-approval process, hey, why don't we just check in, see where your credit's at, let's get your credit cleaned up, and move from that point. Now the lender had better be a good salesperson. They had better be good with their words. The idea is if you can get them on the phone, they're going to come out with a pre-approval. Regardless of what avenue you got them there, make sure that you get them to the lender, and the lender's going to get them that pre-approval. That makes sense? The sooner we get them to that point, hey, maybe you don't need 20% down. Why don't you call my lender and he'll get you to 3%. He'll tell you a little bit about the product, what you need. Oh, your credit's not good? Let me get you to my lender. He's going to tell you how to get the credit right, he or she. Pre-approval. Now say they're past this credit point, they're past the money point, they've not gotten to that, and they just say, hey, I'm ready, let's go buy houses. They think their money's fine. All right, let's go buy a house. Well, hold on, before I go out there, and this is one of the sentences that most new agents are missing, most new agents will just take a buyer out and go take a look at a house without a pre-approval. All right, we understand that is a no-go. Why? Because there's two requirements, desire and money. And if they don't have the money, it's not lined up, they can't buy. So it'd be a perfect waste of your time.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
about, what about, like, say you see a listing and they have this phrase in there, which I don't quite understand what they mean. I mean, I get it.
What's the phrase?
Income verification required
It's
before
pre-approval.
showing, just the pre-approval.
Yeah.
That's all we're talking about, okay.
Mhm.
So it's not like, even if it's like a
They're not asking you
larger
to bring back
amount,
stubs.
you know, okay.
Correct.
But no, I mean, like, if it was like a, you know, like $1 million home, like,
You'll see
you
a
know,
lot of that in Boston. They're just
which I, you know, my area I do, it just means pre-approval.
Correct.
They don't, okay.
Just do your
All
job.
right.
Like, don't waste your time, is what that is saying. The
Mhm.
problem with Boston is a lot of new agents
Mhm.
who will not follow what I'm telling you right now. The lot of new agents will just take a buyer and say, hey, let's go look at houses.
Sure.
And find out they're not a buyer, especially in the $1 million price range. Once you get over $500,000, people think that they can buy, but if they don't have a massive down payment, they're not in the ballpark.
Mhm.
They're not in there. They can't even afford the monthly payment. So you'll find that agents put that in because there are agents who just don't know. So just because I'm giving it to you freely, and it's common knowledge here, and within the team it seems common, it's not common when you get out there. When you're working in the field, you start realizing you're training agents. Even though you may be new, or you may have only done a few deals, you'll realize, right, Matt, you're training the people you're working with more often than not. There are a handful out there who know the process and the system, they've been in it for a while, but even veterans, I've seen veterans go out there and take somebody who's not pre-approved and write up an offer and say, oh, we're getting the pre-approval. And I said, why did you not have them pre-approved early on?
Don't you need all the pre-approval to
You need it for an
the
offer. Yes. And that's how you make the process. So that's how you make the conversation. Say, look, this sentence, no self-respecting agent's gonna allow me in there if
Purchasing
you don't have a
power.
pre-approval. Right.
It gives you purchasing power.
It gives you, it's more than that. I can't risk my license going up. I can't risk my reputation by bringing you into a property without getting you pre-approved. Because here's the deal, you can't buy a house right now. Unless you have that cash in the bank, you cannot buy a house. So you have to go check to see if you can. Oh, I know I can. Look, you may think you can, but until you've gone and checked, we don't know how much you can afford unless you have that cash in the bank. There may be issues with job history. This is where you start talking about these things. Job history, credit, down payment, where your money's coming from. These could all be issues. And here's the deal. If you have a quick conversation with the lender, it's going to take you about 15 minutes. You will know. Right? 10, 15
I
minutes.
have a question.
Yeah.
My brother is a potential buyer.
Oh, perfect.
And he said he's waiting on a winning lawsuit to get pre-approved.
Right.
So
Why?
I'm thinking about telling him
Yeah.
it's
What are you
not
waiting for?
really about what you just won the lottery or
Mhm.
whatever. It's about what you've done with the past 4 years of your life, with
Correct.
your job history. You have money in the bank. So
Correct.
that's what they're gonna go on as far as your pre-approval. They're not
Right.
gonna go on what you just got
Exactly.
for your money and how, how fast are you gonna blow that? They don't
Yeah.
know.
He's
but it's
working.
not drip. It's not a drip. You know?
Yes. He's thinking about the down payment.
He's like, I
down
don't want to
here
be
in this.
pre-approved until I have like all this money, and I'm like,
Right. Whether or not, are you gonna buy the house, whether or not you get that money? Is that
Yes.
money a factor on whether you're gonna purchase a property? And at that point, is he looking to buy a multi or a single?
multi.
So then.
So I mean, I just don't know how to get him because he's my older brother. So
Yeah.
everything I say is like, all right, you don't know anything, little sis. You're just a kid.
So get a second opinion sometimes.
Okay.
So that's one where
You know Lori
you
Lincoln.
jump beyond the call. Yeah.
She's my aunt,
Okay.
and he goes to seminars with her. He knows
Yeah.
everything about real estate. I said, why don't you get your license?
Right.
He says, I don't want to live that lifestyle.
He doesn't
So-
understand it.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
His loss.
that's what I'm saying. But you know, as a potential buyer, I'm just not sure how to, like you said, I need to validate what he's saying, but also snap. How do I snap on that one?
Yes. So how do you move him to where he needs to be? How do you
Yeah,
empower
he
him
has
to move him?
the desire, but
Yeah.
there's something stopping him, and I'm just not sure what his mental is.
So a lot of people just have a requirement of what to have in the bank. Right? Ron and I have that. If we're not going to take on a certain amount of projects unless we have a certain amount of money in reserve. So his money in reserve may just be the wrong amount.
Okay.
Right? His safety net may be too big compared to what risk he's actually taking.
What
on.
you're saying about the unrealistic, you're saying a lot of buyers will go out there and half the time it's not as big as what they really need.
Correct.
Okay.
They're thinking they need all of this. When you explain that every $10,000 he's putting down is only going to save him $40 to $50 a month, you can explain that's a bad ROI. Right? As an investor, I would never put all my money on a property. I would get my money back out as soon as I possibly can.
Say that one more time. Every 10,000 you put down is 40 or
40
50.
to 50.
Alright.
Depending on interest rates, 40 to 50,000 a month. It's usually lower, we're down at 3% interest right now, so it's usually around that $40 a month. But say it's 50, right? 20,000 is only $100 a month. When you're buying a multifamily, does that matter at all? It's not. It's
Because you're gonna be
barely going to
getting-
affect your cash flow.
No.
Right.
It's not your overhead or anything.
So if they put an extra 20,000 or an extra $40,000 down, it's going to save them $200.
No.
Do the math on that return on investment. It's terrible.
It's only worth it if you're gonna
Right.
readjust your mortgage, refinance your mortgage.
Right.
You know, for $100 a month
$50.
after that.
Ron, what's the math for that? $50 and 10,000. Is that 5%?
I don't have a calculator.
You have a calculator right in front of you. Use the phone. I think it's 5%. That's a terrible. I think it's 0.5%. It's 0.5% return on investment. That's terrible. It's less than the bank's going to give you. You can put your money in the bank and they're going to get you a better return on investment. That's right.
Something like that, yeah.
Is it 0.05?
Something.
I don't know.
He didn't
I'm
do
gonna
it.
I
He's
don't know.
just saying. He's just saying that. You know.
All right, I got this. I
Well,
will.
that's smart. I trust him.
Somebody beat me to the math, right? $10,000.
Someone's
Divided
online
by
right now, like, you
20.
idiots.
Right?
He's
I
trying
got
to
this in my
calculate.
mind.
$50.
The phone's old, so I'm not gonna race everybody.
My phone got ran over on
50.
too much fun for 4th of July.
That's worse.
That's
Okay.
okay. It's 0.005.
Sorry to hear that.
Right?
It's okay.
So that's a return on investment. If $10,000 is saving you $50, it's less than 1%. Less than 1%, right? We don't invest for less than 1%. Why would you put more money down into the property than you can? When you're buying a single family, the only reason you put more money into a property is because you're afraid your income's gonna drop, and you just want to pay that thing off so you can save your less than 1% return on investment. You're better off taking that money, dropping into a real estate trust in the stock market, and getting even the low real estate trust can give you 2 to 3% back. But the ones I buy are 12%.
I need to get you in front of my brother.
Right? I agree. Or I can train you so that you can get in front of your brother.
Sounds good.
Right?
Brothers, you may be able to get away with just having a lender call in. If it was somebody you didn't know, I would want
Yeah.
permission. But
We-
somebody close, I would
I
just have
need,
a lender call in.
he's the type that I'm gonna do my research on 5 different lenders and then I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Oh,
Perfect. Yeah, give them 5 lenders.
Yep.
I got 5. Yeah.
Paralysis.
just have them all call.
It's analysis paralysis.
what's the DIC, what's the DIS? What do you think he is?
Sounds like a C.
Okay,
Sounds like a C.
alright.
Because the D wants to just buy and make money, and a C is going to penny pinch on
Alright, so my hubby is a D
0.005.
and my brother is a C for sure.
Yes. This actually sounds accurate. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because your husband's down with buying multiple
So
properties
down
and
with
financial
that,
freedom.
yes. So I'm an I, is that what you called me?
Very likely.
Okay.
Yes. High I with probably D as well.
D tendencies.
Yes.
Okay.
The eyes are the most fun.
No wonder why me and him go clash, because if you're like a 2 Ds in the same house, you're
There's gonna have to be.
yeah.
But they're fun. They're
They
fast.
are.
They're fun. They're explosive. Terrifying if you're an S.
Right.
Ron would be like, "Oh no, here they go
You
again."
have to assess what your buyers are, disc wise.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to be able to have a conversation with them, just to meet them where they are. Disc is a priority with the whole process, and you'll see different discs bring these different pieces up. Your C is going to make you go through this whole list, right? The D is going to probably just be like, "Yo, I don't have the money," and be done talking to you until you solve that problem. Then they're going to go. They're the easiest ones. They'll jump right to credit. Then they'll jump right to, I don't want to ruin my credit by getting a pre-approval. All it actually doesn't. It's very small hit, and if you buy a house, it was totally worth it, right?
Wicked.
You're not going to need your credit for years after that. Even a car doesn't need the requirements of a house, right? So
Right.
that's the biggest one you need to make. Once you hit it, you're all set. So the D's are the easiest to move across this board. You'll find the S's, I's are fast too. The S's and the C's take a little bit longer. And the C will run you through this just for the sake of running you through this.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just going to bring you through every
Like,
one
why
of
are they
these.
there if they're not supposed to be paid attention to?
Right.
Deeply.
Exactly. Why put it there, right, Ron?
I'm not the only one
Yeah.
that being fun of.
Hey, no,
Should
this
see
is
the
no, this
S's
is all
again,
love.
like-
This is all love.
It's this. You have to love people. I'm reading a book called The Greatest Salesman on the Planet, and rule number 2 is you have to love people. If you don't, then you'll get stressed out in sales. Sales is a very high intensity, high energy sport, and if you can't understand what people are and you don't have the patience and love to get them to where they need to go, then you're gonna fail in this. It's impossible, right? But if you can fall in love with people, this is what I used to say early on when I started training, right? You're thinking about money, that when you get to their door and you meet their eyes, you make eye contact, it's no longer about money, it's how do I help this person. Fall in love with them right away. If you can't like the person, you won't close the deal. If you can't move to I like them, find something you like about them. I don't care what it is, you gotta find something you like about them. If you can find it, they will learn to like you, right? Because you'll start mirroring them, you'll start finding rapport. But if you can't find some way to like, I tried it before, right? I just didn't like the feeling. I told him, I didn't like the feeling that guy gave me. It was creepy. We've worked clients that I hated, and we've closed them because Ron is able to
Get over
find
it.
a way. Yes.
So I get the likable thing
Right.
in both ways.
That's
They
what
need
for.
to like you and you need to like them.
Mhm.
But what about the trust thing? Because I think that is like really big. Like a lot of people just
Yeah.
don't trust
Everybody's
salesmen
trusting.
the way that they used to because of fraud or
That
this
is
or that. You know, so how
that
do
is
you
a
kind
dangerous
of
mindset, right?
Huh?
So first you change. Yeah, exactly. Good job, Olivia. First you stop it up here, right? Because if I went in there thinking people don't trust people, I'm never going to get the appointment. Right? If I went in there thinking that potentially this person's not going to trust me, how am I
You're
going to
not
get their
be
trust?
trustworthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then think of it, but how am I, to
Understand everybody's-
display it to them? You know what I mean?
Understand your energy will display it. Understand that everybody's trustworthy. Understand you're there to take care of your client. Just know that. Know that you're there to take care of them. You're there to take care of yourself. You're there to get paid. You're there to do a job that's worthy of payment, and you're there to take care of them. And if you at any point realize this appointment's a waste of their time, you're out. That's simple. Go in there with that respect. And it's not about a waste of your time, it's a waste of their. If you get in there and you can't sell their house, they need to stay there, they can't afford to go somewhere else, be gone, right? Keep the relationship, ask for referrals, but get out. And when you go in knowing that you're there to help somebody, you're there to move them forward and get them to a better space, then when you're in there, they're gonna trust you. Because the whole concept is, how can I help you? What is your goal? Where you're looking to go, right? Where's your motivation? Because the definition of a seller is different, right? We're talking about sellers, typically we're talking about buyers still.
I'm just talking about in general.
Not for
Anytime.
buyers.
Yeah.
Anytime. Well,
Focus on the buyer.
it's different, right? We're going to stay with buyers today, but the definition of a seller is one who is sufficiently motivated to go through the strains, stresses, and tribulations of listing, marketing, and selling and moving out of their house. The definition's shorter for a buyer, correct? Sellers are a little more work. There's a little more involved. But with buyers, if they can't trust you on the purchase side, then it's all up here, right? You're just showing them property. You're just getting their money right. It's simple. It's a very simple process, right? If you want to buy a property, you can help somebody buy a property. If you've ever bought a property, you can help somebody buy a property. As long as you have the desire, as long as you have the willpower to get them through, you can do it. You just have to care about them. That's the key. They'll trust you if they like you. Does that make sense? So start with care about the person, then trust will come. It's just natural down the road, as long as you're showing that your care and concern for them is important. So pre-approval, the conversation is, I can't show you any house unless you're pre-approved. Plain and simple, the only way I'm gonna get you in the property is you have to be pre-approved. It's the only way that I can do it and be a self-respecting real estate agent. If I brought you in there and you wanted to buy the property, and we put the offer in, you lost it because it takes a day or two for the lender to get back to us, you'll feel like it was a waste of time. And hey, yeah, deals happen that fast, right? It'll pull the trigger quickly. And you want to make sure that they're understanding they need to pull the trigger quickly, right? That's one of the little anchors that we put into our investors early on, is don't be an investor or a buyer who dilly-dallies, right? The people who dilly-dally lose the deals. We talk negatively about analysis paralysis, right? That's why Marcia gets, she's like, oh, stop picking on me. It's because analysis paralysis will kill you in a deal, right? If you can't say yes right away and then get the money together and then go close on the deal, somebody else will. Investors are smart enough to realize pass this along to somebody else who's willing to take the deal. Does that make sense? So we're not taking that here. It's just, analysis paralysis is deadly.
Especially this time of year.
Get the pre-approval. Buyers are liars. Hold on, let me go through the down payment. We already kind of identified down payment is part of this. They need far less. The other one that comes up is job history. They don't typically know about it. We have to let them know about it. And the only way, the easiest way to do that is get the lender to check them out. So get them to the lender. The key to all of this is get them to a lender. I don't know if you remember school, licensing school.
Fun times.
But in licensing school, my teacher told me this all the time. He's like, look, you're not an attorney, you're not a lender, you're not a judge, you're not an appraiser, you're not this, you're not a contractor, you're not that, you can't give quotes, you're not an inspector. You are a licensed agent, that's it. All you belong giving advice on is real estate, is the purchasing process. You can't go and tell them the law. You can't go and tell them how they're going to finance it. You can't go and tell them how they're going to fix it, what the prices are going to be. The only time you can stay out of trouble is you take somebody from where they are to look at a house. And then you have, truthfully, you have an attorney write up all the contracts, and you have an inspector inspect. You are the connection, right? So your job is to connect people. The faster you are at connecting people to where they need to go, the next contact along the route, the faster you get to a paycheck. Right, I started this video with saying, hey, we're going to teach you how to get buyers to the process. Trisha, what's up? You belong here. It'd be way more fun. So the only way you're going to get a buyer along, and I save this to the end because I know a lot of people aren't going to watch the full video and they don't deserve this information, but Ron, this is an important one. The way to get somebody faster through the buying process is just know the buying process and connect them from point to point to point to point. Right? So if you know the first person's the lender, get them to the lender as soon as possible. If the next person is the house, get them into the next house as soon as possible. Matt, how soon are you supposed to get somebody into a house? From the point where you know they're pre-approved.
Right away.
That's
Today.
Yeah. Matt's trained. Within 2 to 3 days, you get that person into property. There's no, once they're pre-approved, what are we waiting for? I know real estate will wait 2 weeks before they even call the client back. Oh, they know they got the pre-approval, and they're waiting for the client to call them. All right?
It just kills excitement.
We have a level of energy. Yes, exactly. We have a level of energy, and we got to move them along to the goal while the energy is still there. Right? As real estate, I tell you guys, if you don't close your first deal within the first 9 months, I'm nervous you won't stick in the business. Right? I get concerned with that first year. If an agent doesn't close, I know they're probably not going to survive because it's just you get disenfranchised. Right? You lose the mojo, you lose the excitement. So my job, I tell you, within 90 days, I want you under contract. You should be closing within the first 90 to 120 days. Now, there's no excuse. If you follow our system, which is very tight, there is no excuse not to be closing deals. Now, where are you? How many days in? You're probably
1 day shy of 3 months.
That's it.
So
That's
I
it.
got lucky with that.
You didn't get lucky. You follow the process.
Well, that's true too, man.
You're humble.
Walter.
Yeah, you're humble, but
Yeah.
that is the process. And the reason you're able to close 1 day shy of 90 days is because there's a process and you follow it. Right? Even with a full-time job, even with a baby girl, like a full baby, like not an adult.
A real baby.
Yeah, baby,
Human.
baby.
She's beautiful, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
love
She
being with
is.
you guys.
She is. And she likes
Their
sushi.
children as well.
Yeah,
She likes sushi.
What is it?
She likes sushi. Is that what you
Oh,
She's
yes.
got good taste.
Maybe
That
last month
is
we started with
great.
sushi.
How old is she?
1 year, 14 months.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
She's a little sushi.
Have her
lover.
eating good.
It's
That-
important
that-
because
yeah, it is. It's so
her
good.
dad's favorite spot is make sushi in New Bedford. So
Yes. Let's
when
go.
when new agents close, if Matt has anything to say with it, that's
We
what
go
we're
to
doing.
sushi, whether they like it or not.
So job history, let the lender tell them about it. The next factor is desire. Anybody here read, what is it, Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So the whole point in the book, I'm not going to give it away, but I'm going to give it away. He says it's in the book 100 times. It's in the book over 100 times. Desire. That is what the whole book is about. If you have a desire, you can go and you can get whatever you want, right? Whatever the mind can conceive and believe the mind can achieve. That's his big sentence. So it's the same with our buyers. Once we eliminate all their first issues, these are the things they throw at us and not the real thing. The real thing is a desire. This is where the money is. Do they have a desire to go and figure out all of this, right? What are their impulses? What are the purposes they're looking to move? How are we doing for time, Ron? All right, 10 more minutes. All right. So what is their desire factor? How do you identify it? First question is, why are you looking to buy a house? Or why are you moving, right? Because sometimes we're dealing with tenants and we're moving them along the process. Why are you moving? What's the point? Oh, landlord's kicking me out. Common. Or, oh, the landlord put the rent up. Wow. That's a situation, huh? The landlord controls your rent? The landlord decides they want the unit, they control your life?
Would you like to have that power?
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody ever be able to kick you out of a property again? Where
Get
if,
you there.
yeah, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't you be able to want to have the ability to take over a unit if you wanted it, right? Wouldn't that be nice to be able to control painting whatever you want or having the yard?
Not the answer to anybody.
Not to answer to
But the
anyone.
mortgage company.
Well, even then, you could not pay your mortgage. Sorry, lenders. You could not pay your mortgage for a year. You're still in the house,
Yeah.
right? And they'll argue with you and can work with you to get you back on track.
Yeah.
They'll forgive past payments. Say, well, okay, let's get you back on.
Life happens, they understand that.
Right. They'll let you refinance.
Especially
they'll do
when
things.
you're a landlord.
Yes. So there's a lot of flexibility and freedom when you own the real estate. So some of the reasons people come up with are they want to do work, right? They want to work on the property. They don't want responsibility. What I tell them is, look, I've never plunged the toilet I didn't want to plunge, right? If I was sitting in a unit and there's one time I plunged a toilet for my tenant, but I'd already been a landlord for 4 years. I'd already had like 18 units, and I plunged a toilet because there was a little kid in the unit, and the old lady, she couldn't move, and she literally was in the hallway just as I was walking in and out, and she asked, oh, you know, my toilet doesn't work, and I said, oh, what happened? And said, oh, you know, he tossed all the toilet paper down there, and he's got to go to the bathroom, so can we use your bathroom? And I said, yeah, of course. This is in the building I lived in, so I was like, yeah, of course, use my bathroom. And then because they're having a situation and it's right there, I'm already in my bathroom, I grab my wine plunger and I go upstairs and I handle the plunge and I'm done. So yes, in the last 7 years of owning real estate, I've plunged one toilet for a tenant, right? One toilet. But it was not that I had to, it wasn't required, I didn't expect it. That was just something I did nice. I could have just called my plumber and had him go do it.
It was your desire to help them out.
That's right. It was my desire, yeah. See, it's all
That's
about
what you're getting
motivation.
at. I get it.
So it's not a requirement. Just let them know. Look,
It was your desire not to have them come down and use your toilet every day.
that's it. And then we had the problem solved, right? We made
Right.
sure that we put a better flushing toilet up there. That was just a situation that I prefer to fix anyway, because it cost me less money every flush. We put in one of the 1.2 flushes, I save money every single time I'm flushing. So it's an awareness that this is an old toilet that's probably costing 4 gallons at a time. I'm just gonna switch it out, right? So, turn into a positive situation. There's no extra work in owning rental property if you do it the right way. If you have a manager come in and have them manage it, you're fine. The responsibility is, anytime you're making extra money, there should be something that you have to do to make that extra income, right? There's some level of responsibility or risk that you're taking. That's okay. Covered insurance, covered in somebody else managing your building. The desire should be freedom. It should be, owning a house is a luxury, right? Living on your own is a luxury. When you buy a single family, it's an extreme luxury because now you're getting all of this freedom, you're getting all of this extra space. So that is a point where financially you're paying for that too, right? But renting a single family is just as much as owning a single family, sometimes more. So you're better off owning and building that equity over time either way. If you already live in a rental, then buy what you're living in. This is the strategy that I talk to a lot of investors is, if you're living in a rental, 2-bedroom, multifamily right now, 3-family, don't just jump to a single family. You're already living in a 3-family. Go and buy one. Buy it. Become the landlord of what you're owning, what you're buying, living in right now, what you're comfortable with. Before you go and step up your comfort requirements, go and switch it to be a financially intelligent decision. Then you can adjust later on and get to bigger things once the things you're buying are paying for the things you want. Right? Invest, buy assets to pay for the liabilities. A single family home is a liability. It doesn't pay you. I've owned them, it never pays you. Even when you rent them out, you're breaking even. Nothing exciting about it. So the big key to this, the desire conversation is simple. What do you want? Why do you want it? Where are you going? How soon do you want to get there? Those 4 questions. What do you want? Why? Where? How soon do you want to get there?
Let me write this down. Or I'm just like listening to you and I'm like not writing it.
It happens. What? Why? Where? And you ask when.
How soon?
Yes. And you ask, what's stopping you? Why do you want to go there? Between those 4 questions, you can answer all of these. And the key to moving your buyers quickly is getting to these faster. The faster you can get to the things that are stopping them, the faster you can get to their motivations, the faster you can move them along to the next person. And you have to move them from person to person to person. Remember, if you're teaching them the things that a lender should be teaching them, you're not only putting yourself at risk, you're not leveraging yourself. You're not leveraging the team. So you don't belong talking to lender and having a lender conversation. You give bits and pieces and say, hey, you know what? Let's get you in front of a lender. Call a lender yourself. Get them on the phone. Let them use your phone. You'll be much faster, more efficient, and you get them pre-approved right there in that moment. So buyers, I genuinely believe right now is the easiest time to work buyers because we're in a seller's market, which means zigzag. When everybody's going this way, go the other way. If everybody's saying it's a seller's market, work your buyers. There's more money to be made in buyers right now because it's just more abundance. And because other agents think buyers are liars and they're messing up their deals, perfect. That means that we can, if we do it right, have a better conversion rate of our buyers, which are abundant and easy to find, we're gonna make more money. So it's not about finding what is hard to find. It's about how do I make what is easy to get or difficult to close easy to close. What's already in abundance, how do I add value to the abundance instead of trying to compete with everybody else over the
There's
sellers?
one, excuse me, there is
Sure.
one problem I do find with,
Yeah.
you know, I'll have a buyer who's pre-approved for, a certain amount,
Yep.
but the area that he's looking in,
He wants the unicorn.
yeah, so he's
Yeah.
a unicorn, but he's a Goldilocks.
Goldilocks, the same concept, right? Well, this is too hot, this is too cold, this is too big, I
And
don't
my
like this
kid's not gonna
location.
be in- Yeah,
Yeah. So you have to have a very real conversation with them. Well, what your lender say you can afford?
right.
Let's
Well,
go back to it.
They're waiting on, well, let me just wait the 90 days and get something better after I have my money.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. If that's what
That's
gets them to
exactly-
where they need to be,
Yep.
that's fine.
So
But
it's just
have
a
that
big game of
conversation.
patience and
Yeah.
realism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Be
love that buyer,
realistic.
he's awesome, well, that potential buyer.
See, when you have a real conversation, when you know what they want, it's easy to fall in love with them.
Yeah.
That's a buyer you'll close because you care about them. You want to take care of them.
And I'll meet all their Goldilocks needs.
Of course, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's full service. That's bringing it through. That's bringing them around. Very good. Guys, when you have a choice, always work with the best. AgentAlchemist.com. Go on there, find our trainings, and I'll see you in the next one here next Wednesday, 10 o'clock.